What is going on, geeks? If you are new, I'm UniteTheClans, UTC for short, also known as the Bob Ross of Ark, thanks to this afro and the fans of my builds. You guys are amazing. Appreciate that nickname. I'm never going to give it up. Today, we're going to be building this. It is a steamboat. An Arctic Steamboat. So we've given it a custom paint scheme to suit the environment we're in, and we've built it entirely vanilla. And when you're done, you're actually going to have room for 17 additional items on the raft. I'm pretty stoked with how it's turned out. Let's take a look. So you got your little cab up here. You've got a little spot hidden down here. We added in an artifact so that at night we have an awesome glow that enhances the glow of the fire from the fireplace. That also forms, obviously, the smokestack, and you've got lots of space inside and safety spot for your dinos, so check that out. It seals right up, and the way that I've designed it, you're never going to have trouble getting in and out because of these pontoons on the side. So check this out. Ready? Ba-boom. And this is how she looks. We added in the Alpha Wyvern as a maiden head on the front. I'm pretty stoked with this build. If you guys hang out for the next little while, we're going to take it on step by step together, and you're going to end up with something that looks exactly like this. So welcome, guys. We are out here on the island map, and right now, I think, there you go. We're at 13.2, 10.2 on the map, and I am standing on one of these whales, the basilosaurs, and we're out here in the water because today we're going to be building the raft that you saw in the intro. And if you're brand new, this is the first how to build video I've done in a while, but it's a step-by-step tutorial, and my build guides have become my most popular videos, so it's about time I got back to them. So today we're going to be building what looks like a steamboat. We're going to give it a paint scheme that suits this Arctic climate, and this is a build I did way back in the day. I just showed it off, and people have been begging for a tutorial for a very long time. So today is the day you're going to get it, and it's going to be better than the original. So let me grab the gear we need to get started. If you take a look in the whale's inventory here, I will do my best to throw this in the comments, but this is my best guess at what you're going to need. I'll feel free to pause the video or take a screenshot just so you see everything we've got here, and we'll get started on this build together. When it comes to the materials, I have overestimated for a lot of these because there will be a little bit of trial and error in this. But give me a sec. I'm going to grab the raft, some wooden pillars, thatch ceilings, and thatch foundations to get us started, and I will be right back. Alright guys, so there we go. Let's hop over to this raft. You're going to want to hide the sail, as this is a steam-powered boat, or it's going to look like one at least, and we're going to do our best to take this a little bit away from the whale. I want to stay close, as he's got all my resources, and just get in a position where you can build lengthwise off the front and the back of the raft. While we do this, guys, I'm going to take a second and do my patron shoutouts. Thank you to Myergan, hope I'm saying that right, and Mayhem. You guys both support me on Patreon, and you make build guides like this possible. Thank you. So here we go, guys. I've got a raft in place, and I stayed relatively close to my basilosaur here just so that we can get access to the resources. For you guys, you're going to want to make sure you have room towards the back and towards the front. I'm going to turn on my HUD, and the first thing you're going to need is a pillar. So this is an old trick. Grab the whatever you call it, the rudder, and that doesn't look quite right. Usually when you grab the rudder, you are facing directly forward on the boat, and you're going to try and center a pillar directly off the front without moving. And you may have to move your view down ever so slightly. Okay, so that is pretty close to centered, and we're going to be using this to build off of. So I'm going to start with thatch foundations. Eventually, we are going to be using stone foundations, but I want to get not only do I want to get this off center and off to the side here, what I want to do, because we're going to be building too wide, what I want to do is lower the foundations. So step one, and we're going to actually need some thatch walls. We're going to do this, and I'll grab some thatch walls. Alright, so once you've got your first pillar in place, throw a ceiling on top, guys, and then you're going to want to come through with a thatch wall. Hang that underneath. Once you've got that, you're going to be able to put a ceiling on the corner, like this. And so this is the technique I used. From here, grab yourself another one of these wooden pillars, and do another one down until it touches the ground, and that's the one we're going to be building off of. So let's get rid of everything but that. Perfect. So you should have something that looks like that right now. And that way, if we were to snap a foundation, it would be just in line with the edge of the boat with these cool looking pontoons sticking out the side. That's going to be part of the design. Now, before we can get there, we want to make sure that when we cover this with a foundation, we can still access it. So we're going to use a trick for lowering pillars. So take that one out, come back and place this one, and you can see every time you do this, you're getting a slightly lower snap point. And I have to remember exactly how many it's going to take as this blizzard hits. I think that should do it. So let's go ahead and try. Yeah, I think this is going to be just about perfect. So let's put in a couple foundations, and oh, it won't let me quite yet. So let's do ceilings, and then the foundations should snap underneath, and a blizzard blowing in. Okay, so let's make sure I can access this. Yep, I can. So we're at the perfect height. So this is the height we're going to be building our stone foundations off of. Let me get rid of all the wood and all the thatch stuff, and I'll grab some of these permanent materials. Alright guys, so welcome back. What you are going to want to do next is come in and build stone foundations as far out as you can. And when you get to the edge, you are going to have to do a trick involving ceilings. Because if you have a look, I can't go there. But if we place a ceiling, we can then come through, whoops, come through and add in a foundation underneath. And actually, if you stand right here, it works perfectly. It's just harder to show off if you're the guy doing the tutorial. So we'll do that, and we're going to extend as far as it'll go. Alright, and that is the limit for us right here. We're going to go do the same thing off the back. Alright, and welcome back. We have now got a 2x9. Depending on how you guys did this, you may end up with something a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. But either way, you're going to be able to make this build work. This boat can be extended lengthwise pretty easily. The next thing we're going to need is foundations, fence foundations. So if you're building this and you're tight on resources, don't use stone. Go ahead and use wood. You can come back and replace it with stone at a future point. So the first couple points we're going to need it, and we're going to be testing to see if we can build at the tip of this. Sometimes we're too far out to place to actually place things. So I'm going to go ahead and put one here at our second to last foundation, and then I'm going to try and find the 45-degree angle snap point. Alright guys, so if you're having trouble, you can, here, I'll show you on this side. So if you're having trouble guys, you want to make sure that you put the foundation in the position that extends furthest out here. So you can flip it with, I think E is the default, and once you've done that, you're going to have the foundation overhanging a little bit, and you should be able to find the 45-degree one. I am going to be messing around with this for a minute, geeks, so why don't you guys take a little break, and if you haven't done it yet, remember to click the like button. It helps me out a lot, helps new people find this video, so thank you. I will be right back. This is admittedly one of the trickier things to do in this build guide, so take your time and make sure you get it exactly where you want it. After this, we're going to want stone pillars. So before you go ahead and place any stone pillars, guys, go ahead and put one additional foundation, fence foundation, on one of these middle snap points. And you're going to want to check and make sure, yes, that you can build at the tip. If you can't, move the whole thing back one foundation. And then you're going to want to build them at the tips of either of these as well. And that's what the front of our boat is going to look like. You can go ahead and take these too high. Alright, so at the end of this step, guys, you should be looking something like this with these three pillars in a little triangle shape. Now what we need to do is go back to our fence foundations. So one foundation or so behind your rudder, behind your steering, you are going to want to take fence foundations, and you're going to want to place them here and in line with each other ideally, but here and here. Now, these are eventually going to give us the ability to add in a gate, but that's something that's going to have to wait until we've got a bit more of this thing built. So from this point, the next step is actually some stone walls. So the first layer of walls on this boat is going to be stone, and you're going to want to place one on a foundation without the fence foundation first, so that when you get to place the ones on the fence foundation, you actually find the snap point that lines up with the edge of the boat. Now, one trick that I was totally unable to override is that when I place one here, it's going to be a little bit lower than the one on the other side, but that's actually going to work okay for us. So go ahead and place these guys. You'll want to make sure the inner texture is facing in, and we're going to go do the same thing around the side of the boat. All right, so the front of your boat should look like that, with these two being slightly lower than the others. Now, what you're going to want to do is carry these walls back until you get roughly in line with your steering. And you want to make sure that you are in line with this last bit of pontoon, because it's key to getting in and out of the boat. You can see if I try and climb up right here, I have absolutely no luck. But if I swim over to this pontoon, it's going to jet me up, boom, and I'll be able to walk straight into the boat. So bring your walls all the way back until you are in line with the last bit of pontoon, and right there, do a stone door frame. Now, depending on how long you guys were able to build your boat, you are going to want to decide exactly where that gate is going to go. So if you haven't placed these stone fence foundations yet, do it. Wherever your gate is, the boat is going to begin to taper back so that it would be, for example, like this. We would have another wall here. We would have a slope here and a slope here. So at this point, where you are actually, let's take a step back. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. So yeah, build one past where you built your gate fence foundations. So now that we've got this, guys, to get the look we're looking for on the back of the boat, you are going to want sloped stone walls, and we'll put one on either side like this. And now it's time to move on to the second layer of walls. Before we do that, I think what we're going to do is take a couple stone window frames, and we're going to stack them right on top of our door. And these are going to be forming this sort of cabin of this build. And once those are up, we can go ahead and grab our wooden walls and sloped walls and come right back here. Alright guys, so this is a key step. You're going to want to place one of your walls here, one of your walls here, and one of your walls here. These three are going to have ceilings built off them, and the rest of the walls are actually going to be flipped inside out to look like that. But before we build ceilings, we're going to want to do it, or before we do the inside out walls, we're going to want to have our ceilings in place. So grab some wooden ceilings and line them up like this. And then we're going to snap to this wall right here. Actually, let's take this one out first so it's easy. We'll snap to this wall right here, and for me, I want the boards running lengthwise on the boat, and we can now do this. So because these two are lower, or just because they're able to do that and to form that shape on the front. So once this is in place, go ahead and grab more of these wooden ceilings. And we're going to want to cover our boat all the way back to where we built that taller stone section. Alright, so that's how far I've gone back, and right up here is actually going to be a door frame and a window frame, and we'll add in a rope ladder. But now that that's done, we can go ahead and start doing our inside out walls. So you flip them with E on PC, triangle on PlayStation, Y on Xbox, and you're going to want to go ahead and do this all the way around the build, replacing the ones we did first, and then putting them just inside out for this chunk of the build. So having done this, guys, we can now come through to this area of the build. We're going to flip that inside out, flip that inside out, and then we're going to take some sloped wooden walls. So you're going to want to have these flipped as well. So put the left one on the right one on the left, or whichever way they go, so they line up like this, with this outer texture facing in. And I think actually at this point, I hadn't thought of this, guys, because on my first design, my boat was actually smaller. I'm going to replace that wall. I'm going to come across here with two ceilings, and then I'll come and do a flipped wall. That way it's all in line. You could also just build off these if you want to keep everything in line, but you can see how things are super shifty here. That's why we built the ceilings before we built the walls. Alright, so because this is slightly different than my test build, I'm not sure if this gate is going to go perfectly into place. So these ceilings I just placed are going to have to come out. We'll worry about them in a sec. And you're going to want to place the gate in the direction so that the gate that you place in it opens towards the back of the boat. If it doesn't work that way, either flip it with E or come to the other side and place it to get it the way you want. And that is exactly what we're looking for. Now let's see about replacing those ceilings. Alright, so we are not going to be able to place these here. If you guys are building with Structures Plus, you would be able to, but it's not going to work for us. So what we're going to do instead is potentially, you know what? Because this is so different from my original design, we're going to have to play around with it and find something that works. I haven't quite figured it out. So I think I'm going to come through here, guys. I took out the wood walls we just placed, and I'm going to go ahead and do it with stone like this. And we're going to have a bigger cabin than I've had on the previous versions of the build. In the previous versions, this was just one deep, and you can see from the outside now this is the shape we're looking at. It's going to be interesting to see if this looks as good, but we're certainly going to be trying it. So the next step we need is a rope ladder. It's up to you guys where you place this rope ladder. Just make sure that it's on the inner snap point, or the outer snap point, so that you'll be able to climb it. And we're going to climb onto the deck of our boat for the first time up here. And we'll take a look at what we've got. So there are some key steps from here. You could do this with stone, or you could do this with wood. And I think we're going to try doing it with wood and see how that looks. I'm going to do a door frame here over our ladder, and we're going to try a window frame here. And like I said, this could be easily done with stone. While you're here, go ahead and take your wooden sloped walls and do this. And now the next step is some sloped stone roofs to form the top of the cab and go all the way back to the edge of that gate. Alright guys, I think it's time to take another break. If you guys are enjoying this video so far, or you find yourself enjoying it in this last chunk of the build, remember to share it. It makes a big difference. So tell your friends if you think they'd enjoy this video, and guys, I will be right back. So at this stage of the build, guys, you're going to be looking like this. Now, if you had any of the issues I had in my first version, this cabin can be one deep. You can basically have the gate right behind those windows and door frames. So for us, we're going to step down here and we're going to try putting in a sloped stone roof. And we're going to see how this double thick cab looks. Okay guys, now we're going to have to troubleshoot this. I'm having issues. So what I think I need to do is take out my gate and my gate frame. And I think I may need to go back to the original design of the build. So what we're going to do is take out these and these. And I'm going to go take these fence foundations right here. And right here. And I'm going to move them up one. Alright guys, so I'm going to take these fence foundations. We'll go here and here, just behind the doors. Like so. And now we're going to try getting a gate frame in there. So let's try that, guys. We're going to go ahead and add this in, and we'll have a look at how it's come together here so far. Okay, perfect. I like it. So I'm going to peel everything back to this point, guys, where I have just one stone wall behind the gate frame. And from here, we're going to build up with our inside-out wooden slope walls, like this, and like this. And we'll do stone walls sloped here on the bottom. Alright, so it's going to look something like this. Take a look from the side, and that is the original look of the boat. The only thing that's different is I had an extra set of foundations back here, so I'm going to go ahead and take them off. If you like it, if you like that extra long tail end to the boat, you can take those off, or you can leave them. And additionally, you can go ahead and you can remove these, and this is how the boat is going to look in that case. I think this might be the best looking version of the boat. Apologies, I know there's been some changes to my plans as we've gone on, but that's how building in Ark works. I love that I've built up a following of people who love watching me build in this game, but it is not the best game to have built a following in because it is such a freaky building system. We're mostly done with this build, guys. Let's head back up to the deck, and the next step is some wooden railings. Alright, so with our wooden railings, you're going to end up with some super jumpy snap points. So the key is going to be trying to make sure everything plays along and stays in line. If you have that, go ahead and take out the one you don't want and keep playing until you get the one you do. So I think this is due to us having the inside out walls underneath. So if you wanted to, you could probably do these railings before the walls, but that seems like a weird order to do things in. I'm going to go ahead and snap them like that, and I didn't really have too much trouble. Now these ones are almost definitely not going to stay in line. I'm not sure there is a way to get them to line up. No, definitely not. So this is what we've got at this point. There are a couple more key details we need to bring this thing together. So to make this really look like a steamboat, it needs a smokestack, and I did not have this in the original version, but a fireplace is the answer for that. So we're going to go ahead and sneak it as close to the front of the boat as we can, and ideally as close to center as we can. Alright, so I think that's going to look good. Let's go ahead and have a look from the outside. Oh yeah, faux show, that's going to work. Okay, perfect. So with that in place, we're going to go ahead and add in a little bit of spark powder, and we'll light this thing up. Perfect. And we're going to continue this by doing a couple of torches. And we're going to do a couple wall-mounted torches. You can do them wherever you want, guys. I think, for me, the perfect spot is going to be up here. Whoops, and that's on the outside. That happens. So let's try again. And we're going to try and do this just under the window up there. Alright guys, so I'm going to try again here to get this snapped in the right position. And this time it worked just fine. And we'll add in more spark powder. And we'll light this up. So I need to take a look at this thing at night. And we're going to see how it looks. Alright guys, so this works. It is still not quite perfect. I think the glow from the front of the boat is not significant enough. And we need a way to take this up a notch. So I'll bring the daylight back. And the way that we are going to do this is with an artifact. So if that's not something you guys have and there's only some artifacts that are actually going to look good here. But the artifact is going to be kind of key to this. And I have, when I'm building, always got a grappling hook on me. It makes life easy, prevents me from having to build anything to go up here. And so now that we are, actually, let's crouch. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is put the standard trophy base. And on my original version of the boat, I had this up on the deck like a maidenhead, but I have an even better idea for that today. So let's go ahead and put that here. And the trophy that I think looks, looks best is the Brute, which I believe is one of the trophies from the center. So let's go ahead and put that one in place. It's got an awesome yellow glow, and we're going to try this once again by the dark of night. And you guys can see the difference that makes. There is just a more significant glow there. And if you were to go back towards this chunk of the boat, you could turn off your wall torches. And that's how it looks. I think that looks really tremendous. I'm pretty happy with it, but we are not done. There's a finishing touch we need to complete. Alright, so I keep running into issues where this is snapping on the wrong side of the pillar. Keep playing until you got it right and place it as high as possible. And what we're going to do is add in, the Alpha Wyvern trophy. And I think that's going to make an awesome head to our boat. Alright, so let's zoom out and we're going to take a look. Tell me that doesn't look superb in the sunrise. I love it. As good as this thing is looking, guys, it is not going to be complete without an Arctic themed paint job. That is our next and final step. So for all the stone bits, guys, for the walls, I'm going to use slate gray. And you really only need to paint number 1. You can also paint the inside of the wall if you choose to. But for me, we're just going to go up and do the outer bits in a nice coat of this super dark gray. And for the foundations, I'm going to go ahead and do every region. Alright guys, I changed my mind. Pretty much everything stone got a complete coat. Every surface of this slate gray. We need to get to the front to do the same to these pillars. Alright guys, now we have a new challenge when we get to the wood. While I'm up here in the front of the boat, I am going to play around with some ideas. I think what we're going to do is 6 and 1 in sky blue, and region 5 is probably going to get a coat of navy blue paint. We're going to see how that looks. I think that is probably the answer. I'm going to go do that for all the wooden walls. I'm going to do the similar paint scheme for the door frames. I think the ceilings on the very top we might leave unpainted, and we'll definitely be painting those railings in a two-tone of sky and navy. Let me go do my thing. So for the railings, guys, region 1 is the vertical bits. I'm going to paint those all in this sky blue. And region 6 is the top part. I'm going to paint that in navy. Alright guys, I'm torn. Do these ceilings need a coat of paint? I'm not sure. I was thinking I would keep them au naturel in wood, but nothing is au naturel on this. So let's try, what would it be? Number 6? Yes, let's try this and we'll see how it stands out. And I think I may be painting the undersides at the same time. So let's go downstairs, have a look. I did. While we're at it, we might as well paint these cross beams in navy. Yeah, I think this was a good call. Alright, the only thing unpainted on this is our reinforced gate. I'm going to take a look at our options. I know we only have a few. So number 2 is the metal. I think we're going to try and do that with the... Oh god, that looks super dark. Why don't we try number 2 in the navy? We'll back up. Yeah, and you know what? That's probably going to make the light blue fill in the other spots. So we'll try sky in 1 and sky in 5. And I think that's it. Maybe I should have kept that extra set of foundations on the back of the boat. Alright guys, we are, for all intents and purposes, done with this boat. I am going to take it for a sail around the Arctic, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of cinematic footage of it as I do. If you are brand new to me and my channel, click on the playlist that's popping up on your screen right now. YouTube thinks they know what you want to watch next, but they're wrong. Watch more of my build guides, these step-by-step tutorials. And if you want more building and you don't need it to be step-by-step, check out my creative building series, Building Evolved. Geeks, thank you so much for watching this, the Arctic Steamboat build. I'm UniteTheClans, and I will see you in the next video.